All right, so we're diving into this really bizarre story today. Internet personality goes by Nutty Disco Dave.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so picture this, right? Retiree spends his golden years online feuds.
Okay.
And it gets better. Fueled by, get this, a self-published book. Oh, yeah. And a burning desire to, like, relive his glory days as the, wait for it, king of disco.
You're kidding.
Dead serious. Our source for this one. It's a wild ride. They definitely don't hold back on the humor.
How about?
But, like, even just scratching the surface here, I feel like there are some big questions lurking, you know?
I hear you. It's almost like, I don't know.
About identity, aging.
Yeah. And like the internet and how it just like amplifies, well, everything.
What do you think about all of that?
Spot on, honestly. It's
Yeah.
like, have you ever looked in one of those funhouse mirrors?
Who hasn't?
That's what this feels like. It's like a distorted, kind of absurd reflection of the digital age we live in, you know?
Totally.
But there's also this glimmer of something kind of unsettling just below the surface.
Oh, for sure.
And even just from that quick description, Dave's story,
Yeah.
it makes you think about those basic human needs, especially as we, well, age.
It's true. I mean, the guy's almost 70, right?
Exactly.
Not exactly your typical social media influencer.
Yep.
He's not some teenager on TikTok chasing clout, you know?
Right.
So what is it then with a guy like Dave?
That's a good question.
Pouring his heart and soul and apparently some questionable grammar into this self-published book about, well, himself.
It's interesting.
The source even said it has a cult following, mentioned a guy, Alex Botnan, as a fan.
It's wild, right? You have this guy, almost 70, clinging to, I don't know, this day of relevance from like a bygone era disco of all things.
Yeah.
And he finds validation from this niche little online group.
Yeah.
It's almost like a case study in confirmation bias.
Oh, interesting.
Where we surround ourselves with people who just tell us what we want to hear.
Even if it's a little out there.
Especially then.
Okay, so break that down for me. What is confirmation bias exactly?
For sure.
And what does it have to do with Dave and all of this?
So confirmation bias, it's this mental shortcut. We all do it.
Okay.
We favor info that confirms what we already believe.
Yeah.
And we kind of ignore anything that says otherwise.
Wow. Okay.
It's with Dave. Someone who already finds him entertaining, maybe insightful even. They might just gloss over the typos, the outlandish stuff in the book.
Yeah.
They want to believe it.
So they're seeing what they want to see.
Exactly.
Like,
they're ignoring the flaws. Absolutely.
Like those rose-colored glasses
Yes.
that make a dumpster fire look like a sunset.
It's sunset. Yeah.
So Dave's fans, they're seeing the world through their Disco Dave lenses.
100%. And it really shows you how powerful the internet is.
How
creating these echo chambers where, I don't know, maybe our biases, our insecurities, they get blown up.
And it's more than just the book, right?
Yeah.
This whole Nutty Disco Dave persona. It's all very curated.
Oh, yeah.
From the self-proclaimed author thing to the Suzuki motorcycle, the source mentioned, even that disco fundraising scheme he's got going on.
And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, I think. It's like all these different pieces to Dave's online presence. The book, the bike,
Yeah.
the fundraising. What if it's all connected? Like a puzzle.
Ooh, I like that.
Could be he just wants to go back to a time when he felt, I don't know, more relevant,
Yeah.
more connected, even more manly maybe.
You're onto something, I think. The source mentioned his age a couple of times, how his behavior online isn't what you expect from someone his age.
Right.
I think it's possible those things, the motorcycle, the disco, the fundraising, it's all just,
A way to feel young again.
yeah,
Yeah.
reclaiming some of that energy, you know?
Yeah.
The bravado, all that stuff that fades as you get older.
Totally. It's like the source said, he's in this constant midlife crisis.
Which is funny because...
This is way past midlife.
Exactly.
Maybe for Dave, all these outward displays of vitality, it's his way of fighting back against getting older, clinging to a version of himself that, well, isn't really there anymore.
He's like, he's out running Father Time or something on that Suzuki motorcycle with like Casey and the Sunshine Band blasting.
And that's when it goes from funny to kind of sad, right?
Yeah.
To desperation there. The source even used words like vengeance, paranoia, talking about these online feuds. It's not even about reliving the good old days anymore. It's like, he has to be right. He's fighting against, well, anyone who disagrees with him.
Yeah. The source definitely makes him sound kind of quick to anger. Like he's always looking for a fight online. They even compared him to, get this, an internet troll.
Oof.
Which, okay, maybe a little harsh, but also maybe a little true.
It's a fine line for sure. But this is where things get really interesting, I think. From like a psychology standpoint. You know, this isn't just some random troll. We're talking about someone Dave's age.
Yeah.
His generation. They didn't grow up with the internet, right? They're supposed to be all about face-to-face.
Yeah.
And yet, here he is, online all the time, picking fights, thriving on it, but also stuck in the past.
It's like his social skills missed the memo or something. Got stuck in the 70s with the disco ball and everything.
Totally.
Everyone else moved on. But he's still holding on to those old ideas about respect and reputation, except he's trying to do it all through internet comments.
And that's what makes this more than just a funny story. It's about this bigger change that's happening to all of us. The internet's blurred the lines between, like, everything. Public, private, the generations, even reality itself. What we share online, what's real. It's all mixed up.
And Dave's like...
the poster boy.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got this escapism, ego, maybe some anger issues. What about the fundraising thing? The source mentioned it, but it was vague.
Right.
Something about disco parties to raise money for something?
Yeah, that part's a little unclear. The source seemed to imply that. Maybe it's another way for Dave to feel important, validated.
Interesting.
Using the whole disco thing, a good cause. It's all very appealing, right?
Right.
But underneath, who knows? It might not be as selfless as it seems.
So it's like his book, then. A mess disguised as a masterpiece. And this fundraising, just another way to boost his ego.
It's possible. It's all about keeping up this image, right?
Yeah.
Staying relevant. And the sad thing is, the more he tries, the online battles, the schemes, the further he gets from any real connection with himself, with others. He's building walls, not bridges.
And the saddest part, he doesn't realize people are laughing at him, not with him.
Exactly. That's the danger of needing validation from strangers online.
Yeah.
It's addictive. You get hooked on chasing those likes, those comments.
And it's empty. Right.
It is. And you lose sight of the real connections, the ones that matter. So what's the takeaway here? What does Nutty Disco Dave teach us? Is it just about the dangers of the internet? Or something more?
It'd be easy to just write him off, you know? Like, haha, look at this old guy yelling at the internet. But something tells me it's more than that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dave's story, it might seem kind of out there, but it really gets at those anxieties we all feel as we get older.
Yeah.
That fear of being irrelevant, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point anymore? Especially in a world that, well, it's changing so fast.
Yeah.
He shows us what we're all afraid of, even if most of us don't take it as far as he does.
It's like that saying, there, but for the grace of God, go I.
Exactly.
I mean, we all want to feel seen, right?
Yeah.
Connected. Like we belong. I think Dave he went about it the wrong way.
I think so. And his story, it's like a warning sign, almost. It shows what happens when you chase that validation in the wrong places.
How so?
It changes you, messes with your head, makes those insecurities even worse. And in the end, it's lonely, you know?
So what's the answer then? If this is the warning, what do we do? How do we find that sense of belonging, purpose?
Without all the disco drama.
That's the million-dollar question. And I don't think there's one right answer for everyone, but I think Dave's story, it reminds us that it has to come from within, right?
What do you mean?
It's about knowing yourself, what's important to you, what gets you excited, and surrounding yourself with people who, well, they get it. They get you.
And not just some online persona.
Exactly. The real you, flaws and all. It's about owning that, not hiding it.
Like finding your own internal disco ball.
There you go. That light that shines from within, no matter what anyone else thinks. It doesn't need likes. It just is.
And maybe it's about realizing that. Being relevant isn't about clinging to the past.
Yeah. It's about being present. Here now. Wrinkles, mistakes, all of it.
And maybe Nutty Disco Dave can teach us a thing or two about that, even if it's by accident.
Right. Who knew we'd find wisdom in all of this?
You never know where you'll find it.
So next time you're on social media, feeling jealous, insecure, think of Nutty Disco Dave.
Oh, boy.
Because real relevance, it's not online. It's out there in the real world with real people, real connections. It's about doing what matters and maybe just accepting yourself along the way. And hey, if a disco-loving septuagenarian can teach us that, maybe there's hope for us all.
There's always hope.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening.